Welcome to the Relentless Road Podcast. Welcome to episode number 51 of the Relentless Road Podcast. My name is Tim Scrivener. It is February the 23rd, joined, as always, by Ryan McDonald.
Hey.
We also have Jennifer over here.
Good morning.
Jennifer, it has been raining like all week long. What was it, Wednesday? It was lightning, flooding, and icing.
A little bit of freezing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like all the trees around here were caked over. How was it up in Denton? Didn't they have some roads shut down?
I don't know about that.
I thought I'd heard
something.
some interstate or some of the overpasses, but I know out west was a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So have you been getting up and running in this?
No, not getting up. Just whenever I can.
Okay.
Whenever there's a break.
She got on the treadmill yesterday.
I had to do the treadmill. It was horrible.
Yeah, treadmill suck. So do you guys have any big weekend plans?
I have 10 of them, they say.
Are you going to slosh through the you guys going to go try to brave the weather and hike, or you guys got anything going on?
No.
Netflix binge?
Maybe.
Maybe. See, no. That's
yeah.
That's an affirmative for her.
Yes, maybe.
I'm sure it's something I have no interest in watching, but you can enjoy that. Mac, you weighed in last week at 394. Where are we at now?
390 this morning.
390.
So we got our 4 pounds again.
4 pounds, and
that's 3 weeks, 4 pounds apiece.
Yeah, and what did we say? Last week we just going to need 4.3.
Yeah, I got to get my 0.3s.
Okay.
They're going to add up here.
Just take off another layer when you weigh next time. We'll get I'm sure we can find your 0.3 in there. So if you're 390, you're down. That'd be 22 pounds since you weigh in on 126. So that's practically, I guess it's 4 weeks now. And that puts you at 22 pounds from your goal of 368 for the end of March. And so that's 5 weeks. So still... Yeah, right in that 4.3333 infinity or however
I need
that works
a little
out.
bit of room next week.
Okay, once again, like I said, shed some layers. or bump up the cardio. Are you doing anything different this week, or?
No, it's a little bit busy week, and man, I got out. You know, we did a little bit on Monday out there at Jailbreak Ranch, which is kind of like we're putting a little obstacle course together.
Supposed to have an event tomorrow.
Yeah, which we're moving.
You're going to have to move.
Okay.
Too much mud to have a mud run. I mean, how crazy is that?
But I knew right away that morning I should have put my boots on.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my tennis shoes on, and I laced them too tight. And, man, my feet were
having some feet issues?
Killing me all week.
Now, and that was pre-rain, pre-mud.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was actually a nice day out there that day. And but... So, I mean, did that limit your cardio? Did you do less, more, or just had to...
I almost did nothing.
Grin and bear it. You didn't do much cardio this week?
No.
Okay.
Like Tuesday, Wednesday, my feet were toast.
So this pretty much diet this last week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you did the flu diet the week before.
Flu diet the week before, foot diet the week...
Foot diet this week.
Maybe I ought to keep going, see how long I can keep this.
How long you can run it out without having to do work? Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
I think we're getting the wrong message across here.
No, I know I need to be moving and doing things. How much that has to do with my weight loss, you know, of course I needed it last time I lost weight.
Mm-hmm.
But I know just to be useful, just to be moving around, I know I need to get all those muscles and all those joints and everything lubed up and ready to go. I got some hiking this summer to do.
Mm-hmm.
So just take the weight loss out of the picture. I need to be getting some cardiovascular in, and I need to get, you know, my feet.
Let me ask you this.
Ready.
Since you've had 2 weeks with, well, it's hard to say because you started late into January, you had a prolonged Christmas there, so you had about 2 weeks where you're doing frequent activity. Now you've had 2 weeks where you haven't because of flu and feet. Is there a difference in your energy levels? Obviously, the flu week we can't really count, but is there a difference in your energy levels this week with the less activity than maybe 3 weeks ago? Or have you been aware?
Not really.
Okay, just...
Not really. It kind of throws it off, you know, when your feet hurt, you know, you don't have that much want to, you know, go out well, of course, with the weather and everything, you don't feel like putting a basketball goal up or something.
Well, have you
that.
tried like the recumbent bike? Because at least then your feet wouldn't be supporting the
true.
weight.
That's true. No, I haven't tried that.
Okay. So just a thought. Just kind of what I'm here for. Okay, so very good. So then next week you'll be able to pump up the activity, and that way you can kind of work on getting you a
You know what's
buffer.
gonna suck though?
What's that?
Is I'm gonna get on it next week. Do like an hour of cardio, an hour and a half of cardio a day, or something like that, or get some workouts in, and I'm not gonna lose any weight.
She's going back to Jen's everyday way. And so Jen, are you still weighing every day? or
I went home and put the scale in my closet that
Oh,
day.
yeah.
I haven't weighed since then, so it's been a week since I've weighed.
have you been like longing and
No.
missing it?
I haven't. It's been awesome.
Okay, that's it. So you haven't been beating yourself up.
No. I've decided to trust the mirror and my pants fitting.
Did the pants fit?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's why you went ahead,
Nice.
slept in, and waited for the breaks in the rain. Didn't have to compulsively get out
Right,
there.
right.
Okay. And it's just finding the right cue, but we'll get there in a minute. Mac, we've talked 2 weeks ago. We had Leanne on here, and last week we talked a little bit about identity and really referring back to some of the things that she's brought up in her weight loss journey, but then also her background of growing up with a family where obesity was the norm, where unhealthy habits was the norm, and just how shocking it was for her to have someone say, hey, why don't we try the salad without the ranch dressing or the Caesar dressing? And just then some of the things that she had brought up in the idea of, well, that's what those people do. That's what those skinny girls do. Now what she didn't say, but the bubble over her head, debating whether to curse here. What she's saying is those skinny bitches over there, that's how they do this stuff. And I'm not like that person. But that's how we interpret a lot of times as a defense mechanism. But also it's how we perceive food, and all these things make up different bricks in our own personal identity. And we don't realize how they oftentimes limit us from achieving. And whenever you lost the weight the first time, it was a matter of changing habits. And whenever you change habits, you just can't help but start seeing yourself and seeing other things through a different lens and different light.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk today a little bit about some of the things that you've done, maybe some of the things you've done and successfully, maybe haven't done successfully. And then we'll work our way kind of into the habit loop. Charles Duhigg a few years ago had the book out, The Power of Habit, and it's been referenced a billion times by different books and different speakers. And it's really just kind of boils down how we develop habits, which then you can deconstruct on how you break habits. But what I'm going to get to here in a little while is a lot of where we don't realize we have habits. It's easy to look at the obvious. Man, I've got to have coffee every morning. That's part of a habit. Or I've got to have a glass of wine every night. That's part of a habit. I've got to have a cigarette after lunch, or whatever it may be for different people. We look at those as habits, but everything we do is 90%, on a daily basis. It's just habit. How we brush our teeth, when we brush our teeth, when we take a shower, what time we, eat dinner, what we watch on TV. Those things just become habit, and we don't really even, we're not even aware of it. And so that's what I want to move towards. But before we get there, I want you to go ahead and kind of bring us through some of the steps you've taken, some of the things you've done and experienced on trying to change habits that had led you at one time to well over 500 pounds to now where you're headed to where you're going.
I guess we could. Hacks is kind of a, we talked a little bit about that, hacking your brain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But all I think about is just, some things that made it easier for me to make a good decision.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's a good definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving, a trick I played with mine is moving the goalpost. Setting a doable goal. I remember in running. When I, running around the outside of Texas Motor Speedway with my brother, and we'd pick out a sign.
And for everybody out there, the outer rim of the Texas Motor Speedway, which is just a mile and a half down the road from us, is a 5-mile loop.
Mm-hmm. So we'd pick out a sign, and we'd say, all right, we're running to that sign.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it helps with when you have someone running with you too. But I also used it myself when I was running by myself, is getting to that sign and then going, ha, I tricked you. You can't stop. You have to go to the next one. So it's those simple things that I'm messing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drinking water. I don't think there's any scientific evidence that drinking water. If you drink a lot of water, you'll lose weight.
Absolutely, there's a ton of it out there.
No,
you Google it. That's a different story. I won't bog down, but that's fine. Go ahead.
If you drink a lot of water and you do all the other crap, you're not gonna lose weight.
Yes, but by virtue of drinking a lot of water,
it happens to be just an example of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the water was helping me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the other stuff lining up, the water served as a representation of, hey, I'm not going to stop and go and get a Route 44 cherry Dr. Pepper or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if I'm hungry or something like that, maybe I can just chug a bunch of water, which helped a little bit, you know. So drinking water was kind of a tool that I used.
So it's a replacement.
Yeah,
and that's where when we talk about the scientific,
unsweet tea or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where it is. You know, that's where whenever I was saying that all the studies do show that the more water you consume, more likely you are to lose weight, and it is because of what you just described. It's the replacement thereof, or also providing a sense of satiety before you eat dinner. You know, It's the idea of chugging a glass of water before you eat. You already got something on your stomach. You're less prone to overeat because your brain will receive the signals quicker of, hey, I've had enough, I'm full.
Going to bed, you know, not staying up so late because, you know, I love to sit down, watch a movie, and you just kind of snack and you kind of throw things in your mouth because you're bored or whatever, thing like that. So just going to bed at a decent time and not watching those movies to the early morning like it's so easy for me to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or a history channel war movie or war documentary.
I didn't know they had any of that stuff anymore. Every time I've actually flipped on, it's like reality shows, like Pawn Stars or American Pickers. So history.
Well, one thing, I don't have cable. You know, I don't do.
So that removes another, temptation.
Now I still have internet, so you know I could,
have everything at your fingertips. So
everything at my fingertips. But it's easy to not have 427 channels to pick from, and there's always something on.
Mm-hmm.
So, meal prep on Sundays. That's kind of a way that I've kind of hacked eating during the week. You know, if I do it for my wife now too. A couple days ago, I just filled the grill up with chicken breast for her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat the chicken breast much right now, except just not as much as I relied on it in the past because of the high protein. But I'll normally like cook thighs for me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something with a little bit more.
They're more fat.
A little bit more fat in it. And then, we've talked about this much in the past is just not eating out of a window. Not pulling into a drive-through and then pulling back around. I don't think I've ever done that, but I probably thought about it before.
No.
But just, and that's where that meal prep comes in, and that's where it's so easy when you're starving and you're running around doing errands or whatever to pull into some place.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an American kind of right now.
Oh yes,
right this minute.
The microwave society. Yeah.
Give me the carbs. Give me the sugar. I gotta do something.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of some of the hacks I started off with, and hopefully.
Well, let me ask you on these, because what you talked about were new actions that you have taken, and where we all struggle is that we typically know what we need to do. If we're trying to lose weight, if we're trying to save money, if we're trying to whatever it may be, we know the basic steps. The hard part is getting those steps to become part of our routine. So how did you start forcing yourself to have the water? How did you, what did you do to where that became your norm instead of the Route 44? Or how did you turn off the TV and start going to bed so you weren't sitting up and mindlessly eating? How did you force yourself to start doing the meal prep on Sunday? Because the benefits of all those things, you outlined the idea that then it kept you from these other bad habits, so you replaced the habit. But how did we initiate these things to where it became your norm?
I guess the biggest thing that all of them have in common is the process of thinking forward and not thinking on the now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the delayed gratification part of it.
Mm-hmm.
How I got to that level of, hey, if I pull in this drive-through, maybe, I die 5 or 10 years younger. That's the kind of thinking that.
So you linked punishment.
I tried to link
or a negative emotion or negative.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So and also positive things like, okay, if I pull in this drive-through, I'm not going to be able to, get on my motorcycle anytime soon, or it's just going to put off even further. Is it going to be this much harder to go hike, or is it going to be this much harder to go up and down stairs, or is this going to be this much harder to, play football with my kids or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, if we let's start with the water for a second, because it's real easy for someone to have a big old bottle of water. They've been drinking it all morning, and let's say they do have the Route 44 habit. Okay, the idea of sweet tea or whatever it may be, that I've got to run into Sonic or I've got to run into wherever and get the ginormous super biggie gulp, and we can still have that water there. Whenever you were first starting, if you had that desire to go get the big gulp, go get the Route 44, and you've still got the water there, I mean, it's really easy to leave it sitting there. I mean, it's got a cap on it. It's not going to go bad. It's going to be good tomorrow.
Yeah, I got this nice little Yeti thing that ice stays cold.
And so you got your Yeti. It's sitting there, so it's still going to be fine later. How did you, if you can remember, how do you decide to bypass the Sonic and the Route 44, the big gulp, and use what's this? We're making Jennifer thirsty just talking about drinking here.
The only thing I'm coming back to is not thinking about the moment.
Okay.
Is this trying to think about, 10 moments from now?
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, food, like a drink is hard to, yes, you're going to burn that sugar off and you're going to crash, but it's not as tangible as going into a Chinese buffet.
Mm-hmm.
If I go into a Chinese I love Chinese food, but going to a Chinese buffet, you walk out of that buffet and you feel like, bloated and salty, and I got to the car and I'm hungry again. No, I mean, you feel terrible, and you know what you just did to your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a little bit more repercussion when it comes to how I feel when you're talking about food other than a drink or something like that.
A soda don't typically make you feel fat at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may have the sugar crash, but yes.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more tangible when we're talking about food, and after a meal like that, you regret. Now, I did not enjoy that enough to be feeling what I feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I try to put myself in the position of always thinking about, okay, how am I going to feel an hour from now if I go into that all you can eat Chinese buffet with cream cheese wontons and the General Tao's chicken, and y'all can stop me here.
No.
Sesame chicken.
Jen, have you had any habits that you've broken in the last few years? Anything that you changed?
Oh man. Well, I just put my scale away.
Okay. and so you removed it from the situation, and so now it's out of sight, out of mind. But has there been anything else where you changed? Maybe it's a daily situation where you have an opportunity to do something, but you're trying to remove that from your life, or you're trying to incorporate a new activity. You know, is there any thing you can think of that you've done that would apply within here?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Looking to be a little more specific.
I know. I need. I just hadn't put any thought into it. I guess I should have been thinking about that.
It is just easier to sit here and focus everything on Mac.
Eating habits change, I guess.
Okay, so whenever you
eating grains.
She does.
You stopped eating greens.
Grains.
Oh,
Grains.
most people try to eat more greens. Okay, so when you stopped,
be a weird stance to take.
It'd be a very odd.
I could be the first.
No, there's plenty out there. So okay, when you stopped eating grains, what did you replace it with? What did you, was it just for you being the upholder, going back to the four tendencies, was just, all right, I'm not going to eat them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what you knuckleheads are talking about.
Okay, it's not always that easy to do stuff.
Okay, but did you have to, really change certain habits, certain things you did, or certain associations in order for that to make that stick?
No.
No? See? Upholder.
Yep. She's a light switch.
And she wonders why nobody likes her. So anyway, for the rest of us, Mac, so Charles Duhigg in the Power of Habit, and the idea is that we all have a cue. Before we do anything, we have a cue. All right? My bladder feels full, so then that's my cue. I got to get up, go to the bathroom. I'm getting thirsty, or I'm getting hungry, or I'm getting the perception of whatever. We get a cue. Let's say it's football season. Well, I mean, I guess your husband recently pretty much went out on football, Jen. But let's say 5 years ago, it's game time. What would that cue have been for your husband?
Get some beer.
Exactly. And that's just most of America.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a game. It's time to get the beer. It's time to get the hot wings. It's time to get whatever those associations, these different, cues, the way they play out. It's like, Mac, whenever you were talking about the idea of using the water, so your cue was, I'm thirsty, or even whenever you had the cue of, I want the sweet tea, because, when you were doing this on a consistent basis, it was a daily habit. It's something you did. And so it's the idea of, okay, I've got this water. So if I'm thirsty, I've got something else, but my body and my mind are trying to tell me, hey, no, I need that sweet, little kick here. I need the taste. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel happy. These endorphins are going to go off. So, you'd have a cue. Then you'd go get your Route 44. That would be the routine or the action. And then the reward is that little endorphin rush. Right? And so we get that from food. We get that from different things. Jen, it's been raining all week. So the cue of the rain has got her thinking, I'm going to be lazy this weekend, and I'm going to bundle up and watch Netflix. She already confessed earlier.
No.
Oh, you're going to read?
Yeah.
Okay, so on
play Nintendo Switch. Yeah, that's what I actually do.
Okay, so but
what do you play on the
Skyrim?
Oh.
Have no idea what you're talking about.
It's pretty amazing game. I don't play it. I just watch my kid play it. But
I love it.
It's
But we have these cues. It's in September, the first time it drops below 80 degrees. I want to go make chili. And these cues are there all the time, and some of them can be healthy, some of them can be neutral, and then some of them can be detrimental. The idea of the sweet tea every day, or I smell barbecue, therefore I've got to go have barbecue. It's the cue that sets it off. Then, like I said, our routine or our action is then, we talked about earlier, we're a microwave society. We want it now.
And one of my cues could have been, sitting down watching a movie on late at night. That would be, hey, go get something in the
Yeah,
pantry.
and it became part of your habit that, okay, it's evening, it's time to chill out, so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to eat whatever. Those would be your routine in action. And the reward would be this feeling of comfort, this feeling, whatever that it brought to you. And in order to change habits, to get rid of particularly negative habits, it's the idea of when we have that cue, exactly what you just talked through a while ago, of, okay, I want the Route 44. But I've got to change how I look at it. And so my reward, I'm not looking at it as a quick little endorphin rush. I'm looking at it as, man, that's going to put me farther away from where I want to be. That's going to put me, you talked about it, and it's real, everybody experiences this when you said the Chinese food buffet. You come out and you're like, why in the hell did I just do that? Oh my gosh. And yes, you feel miserable for the next few hours, and you have to go take a nap, and then you wake up and you're hungry, you know? And so that is a quick little loop there where you have an immediate feeling, but we don't always look at that and say, okay, I've got to link that to something negative. Like you said, I won't be able to get on my motorcycle. I won't be able to do these things with my kid. And so if we're trying to change habits or change the way we even look at certain things, so if go back to Leanne's example of lettuce without ranch or Caesar, if we start associating the ranch or Caesar with pain, with not being where I want to be, not living the life I want to live, with being uncomfortable in my own skin, with feeling like I have to stand in the back. I stand in the back of my church and I sing, so I don't want people to look at me. And instead of being comfortable with that situation, start finding pain in that situation, then all of a sudden now the reward loop is switched. If we're not getting that reward from the sugar or the food or the dressing, we've interpreted that what was a reward as a negative. You talked about basically linking punishment, and not focusing on the moment. So we have to change how we perceive it. And you talked about the running around the speedway, playing mind games with yourself. And that's how we have to do it with every single thing, of the idea that, you said we only have to go to that sign. Well, no, we're going to have to keep going to that sign, the next sign. But it's the same thing of, man, that tastes really good. Well, it may taste really good, but here's what it does to me. Here's what it's going to keep me from doing.
So do you think it's a muscle? Do you think if you use it a lot, if you use that you get better and better at it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And
so if I was getting better and better at that, how did I derail it?
You didn't change the way you looked at reward. You still looked at food as your reward.
That's
and we've
true.
talked about this a lot on your
have.
weekends. Your weekends, okay. Boom. Hey, I've been good all week. It's time I deserve. And you didn't change really how you saw those foods. You didn't link them. You linked them to punishment during the week in the sense of, I'm doing a work week. I'm putting in my 40 hours. I'm putting my nose through rhinestone, but the weekends are mine. And it's trying to link the weekends, yes, are yours. So why in the hell am I going to sabotage what I've been doing all this time? Or even linking Christmas and family, So you made it through Thanksgiving, and then that kind of puts the leash of, well, I did a damn good job of Thanksgiving. It's time to go ahead and to chill out. And it's linking, I don't want to do that. The chocolate, the whatever it is, the sitting on the couch, every hour I spend sitting on the couch is an hour I'm not getting closer to the life I want to live. Mm-hmm. And we have to link, and we have to do it in these micro moments. Because I think we focus on the macro, the idea of, well, if I get up every morning at 4:00 and if I could do this and I could do that and do that, well, then yeah, I could accomplish all these things. But then, well, how do I get up at 4:00 in the morning? Well, you got to turn the damn TV off and go to bed, but I lay there and I'm restless and I can't sleep, because this is one I hear all the time. Well, I'm not a morning person. Most people aren't a morning person, especially not if you stay up too late. But you force yourself to get up.
I've done it. I've done it, and I'm the stereotypical not morning person, and I've done it before.
And then once you do it, you can get in the habit. Yeah. And most people derail themselves because then, once again, the weekend, I deserve to sleep till 9 or 10. Well, then it gets our circadian rhythm back off, and we don't stay in that habit and keep that habit going. And so,
Hang on.
Yeah.
Do you think people really can get in the habit of waking up early?
Absolutely.
I feel like that's one of those things. That
Well,
you
no,
just
but
can't ever
here's where people screw
'cause I've
up.
tried.
Yeah, we try, but what happens? You know, we can't go to sleep to begin with, right? You're probably trying to go to bed early. You're laying there. I'm assuming you're reading.
Yeah, I never have a problem falling asleep. I mean, I'll get plenty of sleep, and I just won't want to get up.
Okay, it's not about. Okay, so whenever the alarm goes off, let's say you're trying to get up earlier,
Mm-hmm.
that alarm goes off, and what's your first thought?
I don't want to get out of bed.
Okay.
How long to the second alarm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did I really?
Do I have a 9-minute
Do
snooze?
I really need to get up this early? I mean, that was just, is it really that important?
I was, and that's where we fail, and that's where I was listening to someone the other day, and they articulated it better than I'd been able to in the past, and he was just talking about the concept of negotiating with herself. Why do we negotiate with ourselves? We all do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, we do it all the time. But why do we negotiate with ourselves? Our rational self says, I want X.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the moment, our, I guess still rational, but our emotional self says, yeah, but this feels better. This tastes better. I just want to. And so I would link an action to get past the mind. Don't give your mind a chance to do something. Immediately, get up and have some sort of routine, play with what that routine is to where immediately the blood gets pumping.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, for me, I've got a few different things, but most of it's psychological. But on the days where I'm struggling, I'll be in there while my coffee's brewing, and I'll be, just bouncing on my toes. Getting my blood pumping. May have my hands up in the air, look charismatic or something. Sometimes out to the side.
Oh, Jesus.
I might do a little stretching, But on the days where I'm sitting there going, man, the coffee's taking too long to brew, then I physically move, and that works for me. I'm loving the cold showers right now. Now they suck, all right. But for me, it's a chance I'm trying to bend my body to my will. And that's all any of us are trying to do with anything. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to try to go jump in the cold shower right now. It's figure out.
It's not happening.
No, not happening.
It's figure out what your baby step is. But if we're not getting to where we want to be at the pace we want to get there, well, then I think we don't take enough massive action. I think we do too much toe tipping in the water. And in order to take massive action, we got to have massive. If we want massive success. If we want massive change, it's going to require massive action. It's the toe in the water that we're just half-ass in there, is that we real easily fall full-ass back.
I don't know, dude. I mean,
I can look back through
sure
the last 9 months.
Are you sure it's like not everybody is going to do what she does and flip the switch and be massive action other way?
But she just told us. No,
That's what, there are things that I just don't do that. That I can't do that.
Well, I would say also it starts within there. It's the idea that I can't, well, I won't, or it's hard. And if we think something's going to be hard, if we think it's going to be difficult, I guarantee you it will be. And it's changing the way we talk about it beforehand.
I have done those massive swings and shut stuff off. And,
absolutely.
But I've also, little by little, cut stuff out or stuck my toe in the water, then stuck another toe in the water, then my foot. And so I'm talking in generalities here, but
I'll talk in specifics. The first time you lost all the weight, you took massive action. You had massive change. Over the last 9 months, you've had a lot of toe in the water, and you're at 390. We were there back in May.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do this and keep it the rest of my life. I'm trying to figure out a way to be healthy and to lose weight and to keep it off and not work out 2 hours a day and eat 1,500 calories a day.
No, and that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, there's massive action. The way you're interpreting it is you're applying it to exactly what you did the first time, and it's not necessarily that you have to do the 2 hours a day every day all the time, and that you definitely don't need to be sticking in at nothing, living on nothing but chicken breast and egg whites. Okay. It's incorporating a greater variety, but it's what are other areas that we can. What if we did a week where you never touch your couch? I'm just throwing something out there. I'm just thinking of other things. I'm just trying to think of other ways. We got to reinterpret what that means. I don't think it means ever having a week off if your feet are hurting. I think it means, okay, I find another way. I go hit the bike. You would have done that 5 years ago. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would have done that. You would have tried to go to the pool. You'd have done something. You'd have moved heaven and earth to get to where you're going. And the easing thing, the problem with the easing is that you're using, within this conversation right here, you're using the idea of, well, I want this to be sustainable. But at your pace for the last 9 months, you're never going to get there to be sustainable. So it's the whole idea is that let me just worry about that when I get there and not worry about it right now, to where it's kind of my leash to go ahead and slow into it.
I'm not looking for a leash.
Well, I'm not saying you're looking for a leash. I'm just telling you that's the narrative.
I'm looking for a lifestyle is what I'm looking for.
Okay, and a lifestyle, I don't go 2 weeks without being active, ever. That's my lifestyle. It doesn't mean I'm in the gym.
And I may get there.
Uh-huh.
But that's not where I'm at right now.
But two things there. Jen, did you pick up on what he said?
Yeah.
What was the key word in there?
Might.
May. I may get there. You got to believe you're going to get there.
Hey, I've been there, and I've gotten there. Not all the way, but I was so sure of myself last time that I was not going to get fat again.
But what was
and I think that doubt helps me keep going. Does that make sense?
I think the doubt is killing you.
I don't believe so.
I think the doubt is what's killing you, Mac.
I think
what you said is you were so sure of yourself. Allow yourself to be sure again. If you fail, fail.
Oh, I may.
But don't fail till you get there. Let's get there, and then let's say, okay, I've been here. Here is where this is uncharted territory. Once you get to where you want to be, sustaining is the uncharted territory. Getting there is not the uncharted territory. You have a blueprint for that. You've done it. Okay? So then once we get there, we need to create a blueprint for how to sustain.
Okay, this may sound weird, and I've thought about this quite a bit, is the way I got there, I don't know, and it sounds egotistical almost, but the way I got there, I don't know if that many people want to go that route, because it was damn hard. I mean, it was everything. Is there another route? That is what I'm looking for. Is there another lifestyle? I'm not looking to cut corners. I'm looking for another way that I can bring more people with me. Yes, it is hard.
I don't
and this way, yes, it will be hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy that's 400 pounds may not have 2 hours a day and can't sustain 1,500 calories to get there. Now, if this doesn't work, if the way I'm doing it right now ends up not working and I get to a point and I need to set that point in the future, if that, I go back to what I was doing before. I figure out how to get 2 hours a day of cardio in and workouts. And I mean, I am sure I will go to that if what I'm trying right now doesn't work.
Okay. For the 400-pound man or woman that's out there, what I want them to do and what I would encourage you to do over the next 7 days, let's keep a journal, a time journal. What time did I get up? What did I do? 8 o'clock, what am I doing? 9 o'clock, what am I doing? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what am I doing? Let's keep a time journal, okay? It's not egotistical at all to be black and white of what it took for you to accomplish what you accomplished. There's a reason why national publications were calling and trying to pick up your story and following it, because it's not typical, Okay. It was a crap ton of work. That's why people were inspired, because he's doing something that I'm not willing to do myself. But it gives me hope that I can find that within myself. The 400-pound man or woman out there, there is no shortcut. I mean, you can go get surgeries, you can go this and that, but I know so many fat people that have had the surgeries. I know all these other people and all these other health ailments. There is one way. It's the idea of, I understand you want to bring more with you, okay? The biblical idea of narrow is the path, but then wide is the gate to destruction. I mean, it is, our whole world is set up now to make us fat. We're sitting down here as we're doing a podcast. Most people are probably sitting down while they're listening. If you are, get your ass up and go get on a treadmill, go outside, do something.
There'll probably be somebody listening on the treadmill.
Get moving, or maybe you're listening to this on the way to work. But the idea is you have to move daily, and you can't eat what everybody else is eating. I'm in Buc-ee's the other day, Mac, and I had a flashback. Yeah, it always comes back to Buc-ee's. But I was getting coffee, and they had clean restrooms. But I'm walking through there, and I had a flashback to probably 7 or 8 years ago with you before you lost weight the first time. And this woman was ginormous, and she's got a shopping cart in Buc-ee's. Why in the hell do you need a shopping cart in a gas station? But Jennifer, I don't know if you ever was ever with Mac back in his big days. And so with every step she's taking, the shopping cart goes whoosh, whoosh, the front end of it. So she's using it to stabilize. At the same time, it waddles with her. And so the front end of the shopping cart goes boom when she takes one step, boom the other step. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's drunk driving, all right? There is no straight line for someone that big. It's one way, the other way. And she's got the damn thing loaded up with chocolate, with fudge, with sodas, and all these things to placate her and make her feel better about where she's
giving
at.
all that away.
Maybe so. Everything about her showed that she's consuming as much as she can. But the point being is that we just can't do everything everybody else does. I was thinking about this when I was having my cold shower this morning before we did the show. I had to link pain with alcohol. Now, have you ever seen a beer commercial that shows a vehicle wreck, or shows someone in jail, or shows someone in the gutter, or shows someone passed out on the side of the road, or anything else? No, they show you the best version of that. Have you seen a McDonald's commercial with a morbidly obese person? Have you seen anything like? No, we sell the best version. It's going to make us happy. It's going to make us fulfilled. It's going to make us feel great. Man, we're going to have a great time, and hot chicks are going to love us, and all these things come into it. But it's crap. But yet our subconscious just takes it in, and we kind of build that up, and so we try to play out those fantasies even within the reality of whatever we're living in. And so we know we don't look like they do, but I'm doing those things. You know, McDonald's has rebranded everything in the last several years of really, it's the dad and the kid, and it's the so-and-so, and they're trying to kill minorities if you look at most of the commercials now. The idea of it's family time for minorities, and that we get together and this is what we do. And it's not a good, healthy message, but our subconscious just takes messages in. And this is what we don't understand. Our subconscious does not have a value system. Our conscious, our brain that we make our rational thoughts with, it has a value system. It says this is good, this is bad. Our subconscious does not. It just stores away. But then it comes back and it shows up a lot of times in emotion. Whenever I'm laying in bed in the morning, oh my gosh, I really want to get off the alarm. That's where it plays in, and when we are, at our weaker, or not as awake, or not as alert, and not as rational, is when it has a chance to take over. You asked earlier about does this, like a muscle, and I've used the analogy of it as a muscle, because really what we're talking about is self-control. But the more decisions we take out of the equation, the less we have to exercise that self-control. And by Jen not having the scale in her bathroom or wherever she had it setting, she doesn't have to have the self-control. She doesn't have to think about it. So there's not a debate. She doesn't have to negotiate with herself. And then it's easier to save that negotiation for something else. Yeah. And then, yes, the more ingrained it becomes, the better it does. But there is no other way. It does not mean 2 hours of cardio and 1,500 calories. But for some people at some places, it might. And if you'll recall, you did not start at 550 doing 2 hours of cardio and eating 1,500 calories. It wasn't 3 years or 2.5 years of doing that all the time. You built into something. You could have shortcut cutted some of the cardio time by a lot more high intensity CrossFit style HIIT, type workouts.
And I ended up there.
Yeah. And so then that's when we were able to pull back on a lot of that time. And so it's the anything is overwhelming when we look at the whole. And I think that we've got to be conscientious. Am I looking at everything I've got to accomplish, or am I looking at what I've got to accomplish right now? So this morning, obviously this theme's been rolling through my head. No one was going to talk about this today. But when I was meeting a buddy to work out early this morning, we were doing a workout that involved a bunch of rowing, a bunch of setups, and a bunch of squats. And my abs are weak. All right. I haven't been training abs like I should. And I'm sitting there, and you'd having to do sets of 30. And I'm on 5, and I'm hurting. And all I can think about is, holy cow, I'm going to have to break it down into small segments. And I caught myself. Let me focus on number 6. Let me focus on number 7. Let me focus on number 8. When I did, my brain slowed down. I was able to finish the set without having to stop and rest. If I'd had to stop and rest, that's fine. But I was able to finish the set because I wasn't overwhelming myself thinking about the pain I had at that moment and how many more I had to do.
It's the same thing running around TMS.
All I got to do is go to the sign.
I don't have to think, oh my gosh, I got 5 miles before this is over.
Exactly.
Well, all I got is to that next sign.
And that's all we got to do is, okay, what do I got to do today?
The battles I'm fighting now are different. They are. It's all about, right now I'm trying keto, or I'm doing keto. And so the battle isn't, Chinese food. It's cornbread with the chili with no beans. It's different. It's the bag of Fritos sitting on the counter. It's it's different.
Yeah, but I don't. But activity, and we talked about this a while back. Whenever you
absolutely,
we haven't.
I agree with you completely. I need to be more active.
But how do we get there? I said, what is the cues, or what do you need to set up to where you can link it? Because I think what's happening on some level, and I think if you listen back to this, you might hear it at least the way we're hearing it. It's I can't do 2 hours of cardio every day. Now you've got the time for it.
I can,
but you don't want to.
Right,
and that's fine.
Exactly.
So
right.
So just 30
and
minutes every day.
I can't do 2 hours of cardio for the rest of my life. That's what I'm getting at.
But you're not doing 30 minutes a day.
Well, not the last couple of weeks, no.
When's the last time you've done 7
absolutely.
days?
Yes.
So my point being is that it's the
3
extreme.
Weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
But consistently, we haven't, since before the summer. And so outside of you had a period in late August and early September, but we haven't been consistently because I think there's a lot of that, I can't do at this level. And so since I can't do at this level, I don't, because this is where I deal with this all the time, especially when you get with working moms. Well, the kid's got to be here and the kid's got to be, well, don't overwhelm, make it in 10-minute segments. Make it, just when you drop the kids off at the soccer practice, walk around. It's breaking it down into segments of activity so that we're active all the time as opposed to feeling like it has to be, part of everything. You mentioned lifestyle earlier. You ended up with a gym rat lifestyle where most of it, until the very end, most of it was the idea of I had to be at the gym for this extended period of time. And we want lifestyle to be, I count when I'm out there, when you talked about, building those obstacles and everything else, I try to find ways that I can do extra walking, extra jogging around, extra moving stuff. And for me, if I feel like at the end of the day, I've gotten enough stuff in, well, then I don't feel any need to do anything extra. I'm trying not to be compulsive of trying to do, okay, now I've still got to get 3 mile run in. If I've done plenty of activity. Now we got to be careful and be honest with ourselves because it's real easy for us to overestimate our activity and then have the extra piece of pie or whatever it may be. And but it's the idea of how can we just be as active with everything we can do? Where's the extra opportunity for activity as opposed to, man, I've got to live in the gym? Because then it goes back into the identity. It's you're coming from a different perspective. But a lot of the 400-pound person out there that has never lost this, I'm not going to be one of those people that lives at the gym. Most of those people are douchebags, and I don't like them, and they're going to be judging me, and they're going to be looking at me. They can't even fathom that, you know. You're doing it from, man, I know what work that was. And, you know, that's a whole different perspective. But it's the idea of what can I do today that gets me closer there. That's all I need to focus on. And if I'm not doing everything I can today that gets me closer to my goal, well, then I don't need to worry about tomorrow. I don't need to worry about the next day. Just how can I fit something in today, and then tomorrow you play the same game that day, same light post. What do you think, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the scale out of the bathroom. Is there anything else we need to remove from your life?
Caffeine in the afternoons is another one I'm trying to break.
Okay. Well, I can't help you there because
I wasn't even going to ask you for advice on that.
I'll be. We're about 30 minutes from Spark, and I'm about 2 sips from being done with my my coffee.
I don't know how you do that nasty Spark stuff.
Oh, it's a drug, and it's wonderful.
No, it's not.
It's healthy. It's B12 and
no, it's
other
not.
good stuff. You can't prove that. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And now we have a new way for you guys to find us. Go ahead and please go to iTunes, hit subscribe, share a message with your friends. But we are on YouTube.
Yeah, Relentless Road.
Relentless Road.
So you gotta
go
search.
to YouTube, search Relentless Road. You can find out if I'm as handsome as what you've heard, and or maybe as handsome as I think. Either way. Also, if you want to follow Mac's story a little more closely, go to Relentless Road on Facebook. Give us feedback. Be sure and share this. But also, if you have something you want to hear us discuss or go over, by all means, connect with Mac instant message or even put it on his post. And we hope today that we've inspired you as you continue to inspire us.